I never imagined I'd rig my family's 20-acre ranch with 16 high-tech security cameras, a command center straight out of a SWAT operation, or turn a gleaming Range Rover into a muddy spectacle until Margaret Voss rolled into my life. The screech of tires tearing across my gravel drive shattered the morning calm as her luxury SUV barreled onto my property for the 10th time that month. This wasn't just a casual trespass. Margaret, flanked by her HOA inspection crew, strutted across my land with measuring tapes and cameras, acting like they owned the fields. My great where Margaret wasn't just trampling my vegetable patch. She was staking a claim on land that had been in my family for 3 generations. I clutched my coffee mug, knuckles white, as my drone hummed silently overhead, capturing every move. This was war, Margaret. My name's Ethan Caldwell, and the ranch sprawling before you has been ours since my granddad bought it in the 50s. For decades, it stood as a quiet haven on the edge of Halton County, nestled among farms and open fields. That piece crumbled 5 years ago when Crestwood Heights, a ritzy housing development, sprouted next door. At first, I didn't mind the new neighbor change's life, and the rising property values eased my tax burden. But then Margaret Voss moved in and seized control of the HOA within months. Trouble started fast. Complaint letters flooded my mailbox, griping about my unsightly farm equipment visible from their pristine walking path. The kicker? My land isn't even part of their HOA. I figured it was a mix-up and invited Margaret over for coffee to clear the air. She showed up with a notebook bursting with violations, barely sipped her drink, and lectured me on how my rural blight was tanking their property values. I stayed calm. 12 years in the Army Corps of Engineers taught me patience, but when I found surveyor stakes shifted 15 feet into my land, I knew this was no mistake. The surveying company confirmed Crestwood's HO had hired them. Days later, a section of my fence was trashed, creating a shortcut through my property. Margaret was using it to shave 10 minutes off her spot trips. That night, I mounted my first security camera in an oak tree overlooking the broken fence. The footage boiled my blood. Margaret, traipsing through my land with friends, pointing at my barn and chicken coops like they were a personal insult. I'm not one for confrontation. My late wife, Clara, called me aggressively reasonable, but when Margaret and 5 HOA cronies demanded I move my coops because the smell offended their high-end community, something in me snapped. I explained that my farm, predating their McMansions by decades, had legal precedents. Margaret's smile was ice cold. Laws change when enough people with money want them to, she said. That night, my cameras caught her and her husband, Victor, a slick real estate lawyer, plotting an expansion and discussing the Caldwell problem. My 14-year-old daughter, Lily, found me in my workshop, hunched over military manuals, sketching a prototype surveillance device I designed in the service. "Dad, what's this?" she asked, worry creasing her brow. I'd been so consumed I hadn't noticed how intense I looked. "Just security upgrades, kiddo," I said, softening my tone. Lily had already lost her mom to cancer 3 years ago. She didn't need to fear losing our home, too. A sharp crack outside startled use. An experimental warning device misfired, sending a bang across the ranch. Through the window, I saw Margaret leap back from my fence, terror on her face, before she bolted toward Crestwood. The game had shifted. Rumors hit the next week. At the grocery store, folks dodged me like I was radioactive. Lily came home crying. Classmates claimed we were running an illegal operation. A neighbor's mom banned her daughter from visiting, calling us dangerous. I held Lily tight, rage simmering. This wasn't just about me anymore. They were targeting my kid. Online, I found the source. Crestwood's community forum, screenshot by a friend, was littered with Margaret's posts hinting I was a shady veteran building bombs in my shed. She'd spun a tale that bled into town gossip. I went to Sheriff Tom Bradley, a gruff old-school cop who'd known my family forever. "I hear you, Ethan," he said, shifting uncomfortably. But without hard proof she's spreading lies, my hands are tied. Something felt off. Later, my neighbor, Carl Rivera, clued me in. "Victor Voss golfs with half the town council. Word is, they want your land for Crestwood's Phase 2. Carl had sold them 10 acres after mysterious waterline cuts and endless county complaints wore him down. The pieces clicked into place. 3 days later, an environmental inspection team stormed my ranch, claiming my organic operation was poisoning groundwater. They found nothing obviously, but the town council still slapped me with a $500 fine for potential violations. Councilman Pierce, a weaselly politician, delivered it himself, smirking. "Just a precaution, Ethan." His glance toward Crestwood said it all. That evening, testing a sensor in my workshop, it sparked. Outside, Margaret was filming, no doubt framing it as proof of my dangerous work. Then my livestock started dying: chickens, then 2 sheep. The vet was stumped until we tested the water near Crestwood's border. It was laced with industrial weed killer, something I'd never touch. Lily's favorite lamb died that night. As she sobbed herself to sleep, her tears soaked my shirt. "I'm sorry, Dad," she whispered. "I know you're trying." Her words gutted me. She thought I was failing her. I sat in my workshop until dawn, the soldier in me waking after years of dormancy. I'd spent 12 years securing perimeters in war zones. Margaret had no idea who she'd provoked. I dragged my old footlocker from the attic, packed with field manuals and tools. "Time to get serious," I muttered. The next 2 weeks turned our ranch into what Lily dubbed Fort Caldwell. 16 night vision cameras, motion sensors, and a monitoring station in our old guest room. Lily was my right hand, hiding gear and tweaking camera angles like a pro. "Put one in the big oak. Dad'll see their clubhouse," she suggested, poring over our property map. Her mom's sharp eye and my stubborn streak made her a force. We also linked up with other farmers. Carl introduced me to 3 locals with similar stories of sabotage and pressure to sell. "They poisoned my orchard after I said no," said Ellen Tate, who'd lost 8 acres. We formed an alliance, pooling evidence. Ellen's grandson, a law student, urged me to document everything and get my own survey. I did, and it confirmed Crestwood was moving markers to steal my land. Margaret noticed our upgrades and doubled down. My directional mic picked up HOA meetings obsessing over the Caldwell nuisance. Councilman Pierce floated a zoning change to reclassify my land for development, opening the door to eminent domain. I stockpiled evidence: trespassing videos, water test results, photos of shifted markers, and farmer testimonies. Digging into records, I found Victor's firm had pulled the same stunt in another county, piling violations on a farm until it was condemned. Lily, meanwhile, faced bullying at school but fought back, documenting Margaret's daughter, Chloe, who'd turned from friend to tormentor. "Chloe says her mom calls our place Redneck Ranch, and it'll be their tennis court soon," Lily reported, eyes blazing. Her grit fueled me. She even mastered our drone, mapping vulnerabilities and catching Crestwood's creep. The 9th invasion came on a Saturday. Margaret's Range Rover led 3 SUVs across my new vegetable garden, crushing tomatoes Lily and I had babied for weeks. Margaret stepped out, designer boots sinking into my soil, as 6 HOA lackeys fanned out with clipboards, acting like they owned the place. I approached, phone recording. "You're trespassing," I said. Margaret's smile was venom. "Actually, our new survey says this is Crestwood's expansion zone." She waved a fake document. It was a bold lie, delivered with chilling confidence. I spotted flags marking a tennis court layout from their website. I didn't argue, just filmed as they left, noting Margaret's usual shortcut through my southwest field. That night, I slipped a GPS tracker under her Rover's wheel well during their wine tasting event. Data showed she crossed my land twice daily. "What's the plan, Dad?" Lily asked, spotting my grin as I studied the tracker. I showed her my Minefield: sketch mud geysers, flashbangs, smoke. Her eyes lit up. "Genius," she whispered. But then I found Regulation 47.3, an obscure rule letting the county seize abandoned land for development. Victor had revived it months ago, and they were building a case to label my thriving farm underutilized. The stakes skyrocketed. Lily and I spent 3 days rigging the minefield along Margaret's path, remote mud geysers with organic mud and a military-grade, non-toxic tracking dye, mini flashbangs for light and noise, and theatrical smoke machines. "No one gets hurt," I told Lily, calibrating the mud spray. "Just consequences." The dye, invisible until lit right, was nearly unremovable. On Thursday, Margaret's Rover hit the path on schedule. From our monitoring room, Lily called out, "Trigger point 1." I hit the flashbangs. Pops and flares rocked her SUV. She swerved, but kept going. "Smoke," I said, and fog engulfed her Rover, mimicking a breakdown. Margaret leapt out, landing in dirt, her pristine outfit ruined. "Mud geysers." I counted down. Nozzles erupted, drenching her Rover and her in muddy dye. Her scream echoed. Lily laughed, hugging me. "You're a legend, Dad." Drone footage caught Margaret's mud-soaked retreat to Crestwood, her Rover a dripping mess against their manicured lawns. Victor called that night, smug but rattled. "We need to discuss my wife's vehicle on your property." I smiled. happy to discuss trespassing with the sheriff. His silence was golden. But the next morning, a cease and desist letter from Victor's firm demanded $50,000 for sabotage. Margaret went on local news, decrying dangerous farms. 3 agencies scheduled inspections, but my cameras caught their every move. A building inspector whispered, "Someone's pushing hard to nail you." Sheriff Bradley came with a court order for questioning. I showed in 26 trespassing clips in the Minefield footage harmless effects. Biodegradable mud. At a community meeting, Lily, posing as Chloe's friend, recorded Margaret calling me a deranged vet and Victor pitching Regulation 47.3 to seize my land. At the preliminary hearing, I countered their doctored photos with my videos and evidence of water poisoning. The judge ordered a full investigation. That night, my power cut out. Backup systems kicked in, and cameras showed 4 Range Rovers creeping from Crestwood, towing an excavator. "Call Bradley," I told Lily, then blared a warning. "You're trespassing." "Systems active." "Retreat." They pressed on, Margaret directing like a general. The excavator aimed for my eastern field to fake abandonment. We launched nightfall. Floodlights blinded them, flares lit the sky, propane torches formed a firewall, bangs and smoke screamed chaos. HOA goons fled. Margaret slipped in mud, screaming retreat. They abandoned the excavator. I doused it in pink and white paint and feathers. Bradley arrived, stunned. "What happened, Ethan?" I showed him the footage. Carl and other farmers spread it online. By morning, Halton County knew Crestwood's raid had imploded. At the town council, packed with locals and a reporter, Bradley presented our videos. I laid out 6 months of harassment, water poisoning, marker shifts, fake complaint, then dropped the bomb. A geological survey showed natural gas under my land. Crestwood's expansion was a front for mineral rights, tied to Victor's firm in Midwest Energy. I showed corporate filings in 3 similar cases. The room erupted. Councilman Pierce backpedaled, rescinding zoning changes. Bradley announced probes for trespassing, property damage, water contamination, and fraud. Margaret snapped, "That farm's an eyesore." Victor tried to rein her in, but their clout was gone. The HOA ousted Margaret, Victor's firm sidelined him, and farmers countywide formed a coalition to protect land. 6 months later, my fields thrived. The painted excavator became a farmer's market landmark. Margaret and Victor fled Halton, their reputation trashed, facing civil penalties. Lily invited Chloe to ride horses, keeping family first. Our ranch stood stronger, a testament to fighting for home. Sometimes, I trigger a small pyrotechnic when a Range Rover passes, just a reminder of who won.